And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Monday, October 21st. We have a lot to cover on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, tip or donate, get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the Super Chat button in the chat, click on that, and you will create any thought or comment that you may have that you want to see displayed on the live broadcast. I will acknowledge it. It just makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate your guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So, let's get into what we are going to discuss for today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to recap the Super Bowl rematch between the Chiefs and the 49ers. The Chiefs winning 28-18. We'll get into that in just a second. Then in the second part of the show, we will talk about Deshaun Watson. It's likely that he tore his Achilles, and if that's the case, he is going to miss the rest of the season. So we will get into that. We'll talk about the Browns-Bengals game as well. But, looks like another season-ending injury for Deshaun Watson. Then, in the third part of the show, we will get into talking about one of the best games from yesterday, Lions-Vikings. Lions winning on a late field goal by Jake Bates and moving into first place in the NFC North. So we'll get into that. And then we'll also talk about the other game that ended on a late field goal, Packers-Texans. We'll get into that. And then in the final part of the show, we will preview the Monday night games, Ravens-Buccaneers and Cardinals-Chargers, which will be on ESPN Plus, an ESPN Plus exclusive. So if you don't have ESPN Plus, find a friend, find a family member, find a random person off the street, and say, hey, you got ESPN Plus? I need it tonight. Well, then again, Ravens-Buccaneers, I think, is the better game, but like I said, it's an ESPN Plus exclusive. So, and it'll be on at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, but let's get into the first topic. Let's talk about this Super Bowl rematch from yesterday, shall we? So, both teams dealing with injuries. The Chiefs were down some receivers, of course. Rashee Rice out for the year. And Juju Smith-Schuster also was injured, and he had a big game before the bye week against the Saints. So, the Chiefs kind of had to piece it together. And for the 49ers, I mean, it's just injuries continue to plague them. Obviously, they have no McCaffrey, but there was no Juwan Jennings in this game yesterday. Deebo Samuel was dealing with a bit of an illness, and he only played 3 snaps. So he was a non-factor in this game. He went to the locker room and, he was on the sidelines the rest of the game in regular clothes. So, that hurt the Niners. And then Brandon Ayuk, late in the game, it looked like, I thought initially he just got the wind knocked out of him, but got his knee banged up, and it appears to be significant. Looks like it's going to be an ACL, and it looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the year. So the 49ers were down their top 3 wide receivers in this game. And the one positive I will say is Ricky Pearsall simply being back out there, made some plays, recovering, of course, from the gunshot wound. And that's why he missed, this portion of the season up until this point. So it was great to see him out there, but this was a mess of a game for the 49ers. The defense did the best it could to keep them in it. Patrick Mahomes didn't throw for a ton of yards in this game. He did have one play late for 34 yards where, it looked like it was going to be a minimal game, but he was able to, maneuver his way through down the sideline. And like I say, picked up a 34-yard gain on that play. But yeah, the Niners, this was a rough game for them. This was a rough game for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy did not play well in this game. Had 3 interceptions on the day, which is not Brock Purdy-like. He usually does a good job at taking care of the football. Not here. Not here. And there were times during the game where you thought the 49ers were going to get it going, but they get down in the red zone late. Purdy throws a pick. It just was not great. Not great. Mahomes, he had a couple of interceptions in this game himself. Only passed for 154 yards in the game. And the Chiefs as a team, they ran the ball for almost 200 yards on this Niners defense. And I said that. The Niners have had a problem at stopping the run. Kareem Hunt had a good game, 22 carries for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mahomes had a rushing touchdown. That was on 4th and goal. Mecole Hardman also had a rushing touchdown as well. The leading receiver in this game for the Chiefs was Noah Gray. 4 receptions for 66 yards. Samaje Perine had 1 reception for 22 yards. Xavier Worthy had 3 for 19. He was targeted 8 times. He got banged up in this game too, but he was able to come back in. I think he was being evaluated for a knee injury. Mahomes did miss him, though, on a deep pass. Worthy was open, and Mahomes just overthrew him. And that would have been big for me in fantasy. But, he missed him there. But the Chiefs' defense, only 1 sack in this game. Purdy did a good job at, avoiding the pressure in this game, getting out of the pocket. He ran a little bit in this game, 27 rushing yards. He actually had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. They were both QB sneaks. It was funny. The Niners radio broadcaster said the Purdy plunge. Yeah, so 2 rushing touchdowns for Purdy. If you have him in fantasy, that at least kind of saved his day. He still finished with like 17 fantasy points, but again, was not great. 17 of 31, 212 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not good. Not good. Niners defense, 2 sacks on the day. It just was not a good day for them. George Kittle was the leading receiver, 6 receptions for 92 yards. And to kind of go through the drive summary, so Niners punted to start the game. Chiefs turned it over on downs, and that was big for the Niners. And then immediately Brock Purdy throws a pick. Then Mahomes throws a pick. Then they both punt. Niners actually do go up 3-0. Using another kicker, Carlson, the Carlson that used to play for the Packers. 55-yard field goal he kicks. And obviously we'll get into the Packers-Texans game later on. But then the Chiefs answer. They go 7 plays, 70 yards down the field. Some chunk plays, 20 yards to Noah Gray. Mecole Hardman, 20-yard run. They get down to the 49ers' 1-yard line. Kareem Hunt from 1 yard out scores to make it 7-3. Niners punt in the second quarter. Chiefs, another touchdown drive. Kareem Hunt from 6 yards out. More punts. And it was 14-6 at the half. Mahomes then opens up the second half with a pick. Trying to hit Worthy. Gets intercepted by Lenore. Niners turn that into a touchdown. Brock Purdy a rushing touchdown. Carlson then misses the extra point. Thought the Niners would have maybe gone for 2 in that spot, but they didn't. Then the Chiefs punted. They went 3 and out very quickly. And then Purdy throws a pick on 3rd and 6, trying to hit Ronnie Bell. There was a miscommunication there on that play, and then the Chiefs turned that into a touchdown. It was a 33-yard run, it says here. I thought it was for 34 yards, but whatever, by Mahomes. That sets him up, and then Mahomes on 4th and goal scores from 1 yard out to make it 21-12. Purdy then throws another pick. Chiefs turn that into a touchdown. Mecole Hardman, 18-yard touchdown run. And, and then the Niners, they ended up scoring a touchdown. Purdy, rushing touchdown. They go for 2, they don't get it. They try to go for the onside kick, they don't get that. And the Chiefs end up winning the game, improved to 6-0. Niners dropped to 3-4. So if you remember from last week, I was saying, are the Niners back after that win against the Seahawks? And the offense looked better. But, in this game, you have a ton of injuries. Your quarterback turns the ball over. The defense, they held Mahomes down in terms of, throwing the football, but running the football, like I said, the Chiefs almost had 200 yards on the ground. It's not good. They're missing guys on defense. They're missing Ufanga. They're missing Dre Greenlaw. They went over it on the broadcast. And now, you're down your top 3 wide receivers. One of them probably out for the year. You're going to get Deebo Samuel back, and you're going to get Juwan Jennings back. And you're still waiting on Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason, Had a couple of big runs, but the Chiefs really kept them in check for the most part. Niners right now are not playing like a good football team. And I still think this team will make the playoffs. I think they're going to get guys back. Once you get McCaffrey back, you get some of these guys on defense back. I think you'll be able to make the playoffs. And this division by no means is out of reach. I mean, the Seahawks did win yesterday. They destroyed the Falcons, outplayed them. So they're back in first place. But I think that's still the Niners division. I think they're still going to win it. But it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. And now the Rams, they won yesterday, so now they're only a half a game behind you. The Rams are 2-4, Niners are 3-4. So, the Niners, they gotta figure some stuff out. But, you look at the quarterback matchup. Look, Mahomes was down some receivers. It didn't matter. For Brock Purdy, it really impacted his game. And like I said, he does a good job at not turning the ball over. Yesterday he did. It was against a good defense. And we saw, and I was thinking back to the game against the Ravens on Christmas last year. Brock Purdy had, I think, 3 interceptions in that game. So it's just, the 49ers, there are very, when they're right, there are very few teams that they lose to. Because that's how good they are. They're one of the top teams in the NFL. But when they go up against the Chiefs, the Chiefs that's why the Chiefs are in a class of their own. They just find ways to win. And, it wasn't, offensively, they weren't great throwing the football, but running it, they were effective, and they play really good defense. So, they still are undefeated. And we'll see if a team does knock them off. Who is their first loss going to be to? I still don't think they're going to go undefeated, but it's possible they do. And they get back to the Super Bowl. We'll see. But we got a long way to go. But the 49ers have a lot of problems. And next week they take on the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. And I think the 49ers should win that game, but it's not a gimme this time. It's going to be tough. Because they don't look like the same team that they were last year. That's for sure. For many different reasons. So, yeah, the Chiefs, they are now 6-0 on the year. Niners dropped to 3-4. Let me know what you guys think about this game. What were your takeaways from it? Let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we will talk about Deshaun Watson and him likely being out for the season. And we'll talk about the game itself between the Browns and the Bengals. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.